Mythology is not just a relic of the past, it's a cultural memory of who we truly are. As an animation filmmaker, my role truly is to reanimate these stories in a more visually stimulating manner, emotionally rich, and in a contemporary fashion. So we had about just 45 days. A curator from Belgium wanted to commission us for Narasimha. They knew my previous work, the way it marries technology with storytelling, and that's how Narasimha Awaken was truly born. So before coming to India, I did my master's degree in Canada, and I was working with various film directors. I was working with National Film Board of Canada, working on an animated TV show. And while I was doing all of this, I truly felt that, I wanted to create something which was of my own, something which was deeply rooted in our culture. The Legend of Hanuman brought mythology back to mainstream entertainment. We collaborated on 6 seasons, and it was the most watched animated series on Indian OTT. Now, that body of work is what led to Narasimha Awakens. The film is told from Prahlad's perspective as a child, the torture that his father Hiranyakashipu throws at him. We wanted to ask, what does it feel like to be that child? So we actually shot the snake pit from Snake's point of view in infrared. And it was like a low angle, just zooming onto Prahlad, and everything is infrared. So in the elephant attack, the pillars fall one by one like a spiral. And you could actually see the stampede. You see its POV right there. The violence is never literal, it's always poetic. And that was the only rule that I wanted to follow.
So when Charuvi says the violence has to be poetic, not literal, you sit with that for a while because it's actually a harder brief. Literal is quite easy, but poetic means every frame is a decision.
So there was this curator at the Museum of Sacred Arts in Brussels, and he had exceptional pieces, fine art, sculpture, all around Narasimha. It's a huge collection. He obviously knew the way I work, the way my direction works with animated mythological films. So he wanted to do a poetic rendition of Narasimha, and that was the retake that he was looking for. That could it be poetic, could it be metaphorical? And that was the kind of contemporary storytelling that I was going for. So how do you tell a mythological story that's been told 1,000 times, but in a new way? And that too in just 45 days.
There is a beautiful play of words in which Narasimha has been described in the Hindu mythology. He is neither man nor beast, nor deity nor demon.
So I gave Tarun a week, literally 1 week, to crack the whole poetry.
So I wrote the lyrics while driving to a shoot. I was pitching it to Charuvi while we were driving on the way.
It was all very spontaneous, very, very organic. The poetry, the visuals were all finding each other at the same time. For me, poetry connects an animated film beautifully. We had done it with our short film Hanuman Chalisa, and I knew it was the right approach.
So it's important for creatives to consume before they create. I find myself absorbed in scenes from films I watch, and it sort of seeps into everything. So I love the uncut shot, right? You go from one shot to the other without seeing the transition. And you'll see it in the film language that we have used for Narasimha.
We built in Unreal Engine 5.6, and there was this tool, MetaHuman Creator, for creating high-fidelity human and human-like characters, completely customizable. You can alter the skin, the face, the features. We needed that for our legends. A fully functioning character that breathes, moves in 10 minutes. All our characters, Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu, and Narasimha, every single one was MetaHuman.
So we had to hire an actor specifically for motion capturing. And the idea was that, when you have to sort of enact and make the actor understand how to behave like Narasimha because he's half man, half human. So that primal ferocity had to come in. So he had to enact like, this half beast. So that whole action had to come through. And that was typically what I was aiming for.
Coming from a traditional pipeline, you're used to making every single asset from scratch. One pillar, another pillar, another pillar. But in Unreal, you make one pillar, and then the engine lets you duplicate it, position it, build the whole entire architectural layout from that one asset. The domino spiral in that elephant sequence, that entire environment came from a single pillar.
Niagara is the system that gives digital world motion, atmosphere, and visual energy. It turns static scenes into living environments, and the key thing, it all stays inside Unreal Engine. Animators know what avoiding a round trip of import and export feels like. Niagara meant we never had to leave.
So we took some liberties. So in the actual story, you will see that she's the one who's put on fire, but here we took liberties, and then we had Holika take a piece of coal, like burning coal, and put on Prahlad himself. And I even did the mocap myself of some scenes, and the version of Holika that you see on screen, it's actually me.
So we used layer control rig to animate within the engine on top of the existing mocap data. So you shoot the mocap, bring it into Unreal, and translate it straight onto Holika's actions.
So even if you look at the typography, there are flaws coming out of the pillars. Every single letter you read, Prahlad's face is in the typography. So you go inside, and there's a conch, a tilak, the two eyes of Vishnu, and a lip formed from a leaf. So in a traditional pipeline, you think twice before asking for a creative change. With Unreal, I knew the turnaround was fast enough that we could say, let's try it differently. It was always an option that changed the way I worked.
So I was changing my cameras very, very dynamically, giving changes to my team right, left, and center, giving the shots right there and then. So Tarun, why did we choose Unreal Engine?
Because you wanted to change things at 2 a.m. and not hear the word render time?
That's not completely untrue.
That's the whole answer.
So it makes filmmaking very intuitive. And I see everything in color. I see everything with real textures, with real light. And that's how I see my real world. So if I see my real world with everything my eyes understand, my approach to film is obviously much better.
In traditional animation, you render out a shot and you wait. You comp, and then you finally see what everything looks like together. Here, I can see it right there in front of me in real time.
As a director, I'm very difficult when it comes to accepting shots. With Unreal, that liberty is there. I was going back and forth constantly. Whatever you have in front of you, you have that life inside the software itself. And so you have just so much of freedom.
But that freedom comes with a cost. Charuvi could ask for changes anytime, and she knew that we could do it.
Yeah, real time meant the last minute was always on the table.
They are exaggerating. I was very reasonable.
So for us, the level of inspiration is always Indian folk art, Indian art culture and history.
You have these references up on the wall, a Tanjore painting, a Madhubani print, and you're asking yourself, how does this move? How does something this flat, this stylized, become animation? That translation is a completely different kind of a problem.
So we use the Jali work from Agra. Essentially, it's an elephant sculpture which is carved in such a way that you can see another elephant inside that very sculpture. And we use that for the prelude. So Hiranyakashipu is trying to crush the globe. And as you transit from that visual to inside the Jali, you'll see, as you go through the Jali, you'll see Prahlad is being pushed from a cliff.
When we take the camera inside Prahlad's mouth, we are actually taking the audience into God's cosmic space. It's very similar to Krishna's story, where Krishna, opens his mouth, the entire universe is inside. We derived a lot of metaphors from other stories as well. And in the end, when Narasimha finally tears Hiranyakashipu apart, his face gloriously changes into multiple art forms, Tanjore, Madhubani, Kalamkari. Because in the south, Narasimha is seen one way, in the west, he's been conceptualized differently. It's a pan-India showcase of folk art and all pouring in, one by one, in a single master shot. There's a whole generation of Indian animators who have built their craft working on global productions. Now, what's exciting now is that the same talent is finally getting to tell their own stories.
What's different about Narasimha is that every technical decision we made, the MetaHuman characters, the Niagara effect, the rendering infrastructure, all of it was built to serve a story that was ours. That's a different feeling. You are not executing someone else's vision. You are building something you actually believe in.
The Legend of Hanuman did well on OTT. We are seeing these original IPs gain traction. And all of a sudden, people have opened their eyes. Okay, an animated film or a TV show can really do well. So our plan is a VR experience, an immersive show, 3D printed figurines, merchandise, TV show, a complete 360 experience. And this is truly where Indian animation should be going.
Unreal Engine is a tool, but in the right hands, a tool changes what's possible.
For us, it was a mindset change, seeing our names attached to a story that is completely ours. That's what Narasimha Awakens gave back to us, seeing our stories come alive on our terms.